Good morning. I'm April Chadwick,
And I'm Diane Gertis.
and we are with the Mortgage Advantage and TMA Corner. How are you? This is a lovely, cool, breezy day.
Oh, really? Well, one thing about living in Phoenix, it's going to be warm in the summer. We're not surprised. We're used to triple digits. We're used to 110, 115. But yeah, so it is what it is. The monsoon, I heard today the monsoons are coming later this year just because we had such a cool spring. For all those, our spring was really spectacular compared to past years. So now we're getting the heat domes over us, and oh well.
Whatever you want to call it. It's still hot.
Right.
It's really, for all of those that aren't in Phoenix, and I know the whole country's, definitely like Texas got hit, but it's just that it's so hot in the mornings.
Yeah.
That's what makes it a little spicy.
Yeah, that's what makes the difference right now.
So, well, what is going on in the mortgage and real estate world?
Well, I thought I'd talk a little bit today about homeowners associations or HOAs and how much they are just, if you're buying a home, it's an integral part of the contract. So do not avoid it. Do not, for instance, in Arizona, there is a part of the contract or all the HOA fees. The number of clients that were surprised, shocked that they were having to pay additional HOA fees because they did not pay attention to the contract. They said their realtor didn't tell them. More than likely, they were excited about buying the house, and they just completely just agreed to whatever on the HOA, thinking it can. But some of the HOA fees can be very pricey, especially in some areas. And when I'm talking about upfront fees, not so much the monthly fees, but they're part of the closing costs. So for instance, if you have an HOA, typically, I'm not saying always, typically you would be required to pay at least 3 months upfront or at closing. If there is a transfer fee, you would be required to pay that. If there's any type of other fee that's on the contract and it states that you are responsible, you would be responsible for paying it if it's on that HOA addendum. And if you've got a good realtor, they'll say seller is responsible for all other HOA costs that are not disclosed on this form. So people have gotten caught on some areas, for instance, especially on some of the retirement communities, they may have an $1,800 fee. They can call it many different things, but I'm just using that as an example. Some of them have been more than that. And I'm not saying it's common. It is not. It is not common. HOA fees, yes. Upfront HOA fees, yes. I've had people say, well, why do I have to pay 3 months? I said, well, and then I put it back to the title company. Well, the title company will get that information. I'm disclosing it just so that you're not surprised at closing. We have nothing to do with HOAs. Nothing. So that is up to the realtor and the title company. They will get the fees. And if you have an issue with the HOA fees at closing or after you're in process, you need to take it up with your agent. That is not something that we have to do. If you're buying a condo, then we're required to get a condo certification. Those can be pricey as well. These are for condos. And those can be anywhere from $50, that's rare,
Yeah.
up to $800, depending on where the condo complex is located. Usually it's between $300 and $400 for the condominium certification, if required. So be prepared for that.
Well, and I think you brought up a good thing too, just even bringing up condos. It's amazing, when people get really excited about purchasing, and obviously you should be, everybody gets excited about buying a home or buying a property, but keep in mind, if you are once again buying a condo, your HOA fees are going to be really high, or higher than what you would think. Because
yeah, you need to be prepared to add that into your monthly budget.
Right.
And they may have capital improvement fees. So you need to be careful of that. First, but one of the things that if you're thinking of going under contract and they have a HOA, depending on where you're living, you probably should ask some questions. If you're just buying the house for your own enjoyment and you're just going to live in it, but if you're thinking of, let's say, getting a horse, you think I'm crazy, but getting a horse, oh, getting chickens, or you're going to start breeding puppies. These are all the things you might want. If you're living in an area with an HOA, you need to read your covenants and restrictions to see if there is an issue with that.
Well, or we had last year, if you want to put a swing set in your backyard.
Oh yeah, some of those will not allow, some of the higher end areas will not allow any structures above the fence line.
Right.
So you may think, well, this is not really important until it is.
Yeah.
The second thing is city ordinances.
Oh,
so yeah, just for instance, I think this is a cute story. My husband Mike one day was outside early in the morning, and he went across the street to our neighbor Steve, and he said, "Steve, your chicken is walking down the street." And he goes, "I don't have any chickens." And he goes, "That gray one over there?" And he goes, "Oh my God." So he runs out and gets it, puts it in the backyard. Now, we don't live in it where there's an HOA. So, we don't have to worry about that. But what you do need to worry about is city ordinances. So even without an HOA, for instance, in the town we live in, they only allow up to 5 animals on a premise. It's a city ordinance. Now, it's all fun and games until you get caught. Yeah. Now, on the chicken, we don't care. It doesn't matter to us. And the neighbor next to him went and got chickens because he had chickens. So it was, I don't think anybody ever called or said anything.
They're good scorpion hunters.
So yeah. But where it does become a concern is if you are looking to add to your home. Mm. Now, if you're looking to add any additions to your home, you need to first check with the city CCNRs, well, maybe at the same time, if you have an HOA, and you need to check with the city. Case in point, my son was going to add an addition. It was quite an extensive 1,000 square feet onto his home in Chandler. According to the city regulations, they had to get approval. They were worried. It flew through. He had approval within a couple of days. No worries. And the CCNRs were very vague about it, but it turned out they did not allow additions. So he had to go back, and I give it to he and his wife and kind of challenge the HOA and show them what they were going to do, and they did approve it. So these, it depends on what you're adding to your property, but even some CCNRs won't even allow, like case in point, the swing set, a tool shed in the backyard. And of course, if you are doing any type of addition to the house and you think, well, I'm just going to do it myself, you're still going to have to go to the city and get a permit for that. And they're going to want to see the plans. Now, again, it's all fun and games until you get caught, or especially if you put in an unpermitted addition to your home, then you try to sell it.
Yeah.
For instance, FHA and VA may ask to see the permits to that. Or a savvy conventional buyer may go, oh, let me see your permit for that. Because no one wants to buy a home and find out they can't resell it. So anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think that's great. I mean, it's, I have a friend that moved to Connecticut, and she's kind of dealing with that. They remodeled it, not up to code. And then obviously she's having a bathroom issue. So I think it is very good. Like, yeah, if you're ever going to do anything in your home, make sure you get the permits and everything like that. And HOAs are fun. I live in an area that has 2, and I didn't even tell you this. I got an urgent 911 email from the HOA, and do you know what their complaint was?
No.
Everybody out there, it's the middle of July. My fig tree is too big.
Oh my God, that's horrible. How are they going to
The
live?
only shade I have in my house, and they're like, your fig tree's too big. You need like, so yeah, so yay. But
Well,
HOA.
that's the other thing with HOAs. Some of the HOAs that, if you don't like the way things are going with your HOA, get on the board.
Oh yeah.
Volunteer. But there are some people that are on the HOAs that have absolutely nothing else to do and now have never been in any type of leadership role and find themselves with a little bit of power. And they will, there are some neighborhoods, we went through a spell in Gilbert where in Bab's neighborhood, every time we popped up in our front yard, they would cite us. And we'd be like, really? Really?
Yeah, it makes it.
So HOAs are there for a reason. They don't want you to have a bunch of cars and, I don't know. We don't have an HOA, don't have problems with it, but just keep in mind, they do have a fiduciary duty to look after the neighborhood. But if you feel they're going over the top, or you feel that something needs to be challenged, challenge it, just like my son did. Don't just let it, don't go, oh, I can't do it because the HOA said no, but see if you can't get their permission in a nice way.
And honestly, I love talking about HOAs, and we, and to wrap up with this, obviously beginning with, before you purchase a home, know all your CCNRs, know what fees you're going to have to pay, but also in finality too, mind you that if you don't pay them, the HOA can foreclose on you.
That is absolutely correct. That is such a good point, April. Thank you for bringing that up. You say, well, I'm not going to pay this HOA. They're stupid. They'll foreclose.
You're right.
And that is a very good. I don't care if you've been making your $5,000 a month house payment.
Yep.
On your $200,000 home now. Just kidding. Sorry about that. The interest rates, just kidding. But yeah, they can file, they can foreclose, and it has happened.
Yes.
There have been time and time again people who've gotten their homes foreclosed on, just unaware that the HOA has that power. I don't know if it's true in all states, but it's certainly true in Arizona.
Right. So there you go. I thought this was great for all those that want to know about HOA. It's like HOA yay or HOA no. So, well, thank you for all of that. And for everyone out there, I hope you're staying cool, enjoying your summer. For some of those that, like us in Arizona, they start school tomorrow. So happy first day of school to all of those kiddos out there. And I hope everyone has a great week. Thank you. And if you have any questions, and just to backtrack a little bit, as Diane said, if you are looking for a condo, if you're a real estate agent or if you're a buyer, if you're looking for a condo, that's your jam and your vibe, please contact your lender or please contact Diane to make sure that you have the HOA, what, depending on what kind of loan you're on, that what kind of condo you're dealing with. Correct?
Especially if it's FHA. Yeah.
And you can reach Diane at 480-235-5667. You can reach me at 602-740-5319. And we're the Mortgage Advantage. And we hope you have a great week.
Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.